Good morning, everybody. Mike's MMA Picks here with your Fight Morning Quick Card Breakdown show for UFC Vegas 97, where we have Sean Brady stepping in to face Gilbert Burns in a welterweight matchup that should answer a lot of questions. We have Gilbert Burns, who has been a stalwart of the division, originally fought at 155 pounds, but has made a name for himself fighting some pretty stiff competition up at 170 pounds. You saw him take on uh, Chimaev and Usman, etc. So now he faces Sean Brady, and we've got a number of matchups. In fact, 12 fights to be exact, and many of these fights are currently favored to end inside the distance, inside of the UFC's apex. So should be an exciting night of fight. Looking forward to it. I want to thank everybody for tuning in this morning, and let's walk through each of these matchups. So first fight of the night, we've got Nathan Fletcher taking on Zigomantas Ramashka in a bout where you've got Ultimate Fighter. I hesitate to call them rejects, but this is not the cream of the crop here. And you have Fletcher coming in as a minus 130 betting favorite. He's the smaller fighter. He's taking on a Lithuanian fighter in Ramashka, who he looks a little bit flimsy out there, doesn't have great takedown defense, a wiry frame. And this is a closely aligned fight. I'm leaning towards Fletcher to get the job done. I think that he has more tools at his disposal. The controlling ability on the ground, on the mat, is going to be a factor, I believe, in this matchup. And you want to walk out of there with your first UFC victory. So I'm not looking to target either of these fighters from a betting perspective, but I will cheer on the victor. The pick is going to be Nathan Fletcher in that matchup. Now, next up, we've got Andre Petroski taking on Dylan Budka. Budka looked horrific on the scales yesterday, came in at 188 pounds, and you could see how much effort he put into attempting to make weight, and he didn't get it done. And he's taking on Andre Petroski, who has been a bit of a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type of fighter during his career. Yes, he has the physique. Yes, he has the ink. Yes, he has the submission capability here, but he also, this is a fighter. I was at his bout against Malkoun, and it seemed like he was attempting a takedown and ran into the hip of Jacob Malkoun, and it put him on Queer Street. We've seen Petroski falter under the bright lights in the past. He is strong. The Maximov victory was something that I was very impressed with. It's been a while since his last submission win. We saw he went into the Elevation in Colorado a few months ago, walked out victorious there. So what's going to happen in this matchup? Budka doesn't necessarily go for the kill when he's out there. A lot of cage pushing and grappling. This has the potential for fireworks if Petroski sells out for the submission. I'll be picking Petroski to win via submission, but I am hesitant to back him from a money line perspective here. This is a minus 300 fighter, and we've seen him falter and suffer fluke losses multiple times. I mean, are they necessarily flukes when they're happening time and time again? Petroski, limited gas tank. Budka also. This fight is hovering. The fight doesn't go the distance. It's hovering around evens. I'll be picking Petroski to win via submission. I think if you are hunting for props, that may be the potential way to go here. Or fight doesn't go the distance, because we've seen Petroski get flatlined, and it doesn't take much to put him out of there. So give me Petroski to win. We've got a number of comments here in the comments section this morning. Evan, thank you for joining me this morning. Good to be back. I appreciate you. It is a beautiful day for cage fights. Petro via sub. I I see that path to victory. He has a clear path there, but can he count on himself? Can we bank on Petrovsky to pull this off? I think he does get it done. Now, ladies are entering the octagon. Jacqueline Amorim taking on Vanessa Demopoulos. Demopoulos coming in as a significant underdog. And we'll talk about another fighter who later on in this card who's a perennial habitual underdog in matchups. Vanessa Demopoulos and Kyle Nelson also is traditionally a an underdog just about every time out. Now, what does that mean? That means that they aren't respected from or by the odds makers. Now, Jacqueline Morum, submission grappler who is going to sell out for submissions. She will get put on her back at times and attempt to lock things up. Demopoulos, also a bit of a flimsy fighter out there who is going to take a few to attempt a valiant attempt at that. She's walked away with some controversial victories in the past, and she is not to be counted out. Just when you think she's out of a fight, she'll walk away with a submission victory. And I am going to be picking Amorim here. This isn't a fight that I'm necessarily going out to target from a betting perspective, but I see that Amorim does have a path to victory here, and I am going to pick her to win in that matchup. Now, this is a firework bout here. This is a great matchmaking here. Gabriel Santos, who is working towards earning his first UFC victory. Now, he took on Lerone Murphy and came up short in that matchup, and also wasn't able to walk away victorious against David Onama. And he's taking on a Yiza, who is a Chinese fighter and is going to come out like a ball of fire here. And these two are going to go at it from the get-go. I suspect that one of these fighters is likely going to completely gas out, likely midway through the second round. And I just don't trust Yiza. I watch his fight tape, and yes, he does look like he is putting on quite the show, but then you look at the level of opponents that he's facing, and it sometimes is easy to look great against garbage opponents. And we've seen Yiza do that multiple times. And Gabriel Santos, the much higher level of competition, strength of schedule, I think that Santos, he is going to have to just keep fighting, just keep throwing. If he's on the bottom, throw elbows up, do whatever it takes to force Yiza to exchange with him. And I don't think this is a case, even though they're in the smaller octagon, where Yiza is going to blanket Santos for 3 full rounds. I'll be picking Gabriel Santos to win, and the odds here are continuing to drop Gabriel Santos down to -244. I'll be picking Santos to win, and I believe that he does have multiple paths to victory here. He's the heavier striker. Yes, he does have his takedown defense is suspect here, but I believe that Santos, this is his fight to win. And you also learn a lot from the weigh-ins as well, too. I think that he is coming to give it everything he's got. And when you are backing fighters, yes, that is what you want to see. So give me Gabriel Santos in that matchup. We've got some more comments here. Ben, thank you for joining me this morning. JP, good to be back. Good to be back. If you have any questions in the comment section, please feel free to leave them. Let's talk Andre Lima taking on Felipe Dos Santos. Felipe Dos Santos recently took his first UFC. You want to say it, right? The Altamirano fight. It seemed like he was on his way to lose that fight. The Mexican crowd had his back, and Dos Santos, the Manal Cap matchup, was a fight where he went tooth and nail with a high-level opponent for 15 minutes and came out against Altamirano, was a massive favorite, and did not perform well at all. And he's taking on an Andre Lima who, man, this kid misses weight, right, in his last UFC bout against Mitch Raposo, and gets bit previously You saw the takedown defense was an issue, but his scrambling ability to get back to his feet, Andre Lima, that was very impressive. And he also is a heavy kicker. He's a big fighter for the division. Although Dos Santos may be the taller fighter here, you look at the thickness of Lima. Two concerns for Lima. I see his gas tank, his takedown defense is an issue, but does he have to worry about that against Felipe Dos Santos? I don't think so. Dos Santos likely wants to get into a dogfight here and a drag him out battle against Andre Lima. Is that going to take place? Will Dos Santos fold here late? Are those leg kicks going to cripple Dos Santos? And at what cost is this going to take place for Andre Lima? Is he going to gas himself out? I believe that both fighters will be tested in this matchup, and at these odds, I'm tempted to take the underdog, and I will be picking Felipe Dos Santos here. Although Lima, he's a fighter that you'll see this with many Brazilian fighters. If they are front runners and they're used to winning, they will cheat. They will grab the cage to pull themselves up. We've seen Andre Lima do that in the past, and I believe that he is willing to do whatever it takes, and he's not used to losing also. So that's another factor here. He believes he isn't invincible. I'll be picking Felipe Dos Santos, though. I think that he's going to pose some problems here, and he's going to force a dogfight. So give me the underdog in that matchup. Now, we have a squash matchup here, at least from a betting perspective. It appears that way. Isaac Dalgarian is coming in as a minus 3,000 betting favorite. And you look at the fight doesn't go the distance. Odds are through the roof. Even the under 1.5 was sitting at minus 350 or so. So people are banking on Dalgarian getting this done in quick fashion. And that is the potential is there. But we've seen recently that there are no certainties in this fight game. And I don't recommend laying minus 3,000 on a favorite. Moret is going to have to catch lightning in a bottle here. Anybody can do that. And I'll be picking Dalgarian to win inside the distance. And I'm not touching this fight from a betting perspective. It is an interesting matchmaking perspective by the UFC. What are they doing here? Why did they book this fight? Doesn't make any sense to me unless they're looking to get Dalgarian back on the right track after that C-Rod loss. Now, this is an interesting matchup. Rong Zhu taking on Chris Padilla. Chris Padilla coming in as a significant underdog here as a plus 195 underdog. And he's taking a Rong Zhu who came into the UFC, I believe he was around 20 years old or so, went back, watched some of his fights against Jenkins and others. And he has the gas tank to go. He has suffered losses in the past. He is maturing. I was listening to John Koh's interview where he talked about not having a dietitian and losing and not having the strength and training and conditioning regimen and missing weight. And now he's much more professional out there. Rong Zhu, he seems like the real deal. He will go position before submission. He will follow fighters to the ground. He is growing up before our eyes, and I believe that he's coming in here to cause Chris Padilla problems. Now, I'm not totally writing off Chris Padilla. He's a veteran of the sport, came out and shocked a few folks last time out, winning as a significant underdog. He does have some solid ground and pound and submission attempts in his repertoire, but I believe that Rong Zhu will walk away victorious, the young buck. And Padilla is going to give him a good fight, though. I think we're in for a excellent bout here. So give me Rong Zhu in that matchup. Now, this is one of the bouts that has everybody chomping at the bit. We've got Yanal Ashmus taking on Trevor Peek, and this line is a virtual pick'em at this point. Trevor Peek is a fighter who is going to give it literally everything he got. Everything he's got. He even at the stare downs, he just can't help himself. I think it's a primal primal instinct here where he will take one to give one. He will close distance. The guy has a head like right out of one of my son's video games, Minecraft. It's incredible, his build and how he's built for fighting here. And he is a fighter who will go out on his shield. He will go until there is nothing left and the fumes are on empty. If you gave Matt Schnell Trevor Peek's chin, imagine what Matt Schnell would be capable of. He would likely be the UFC flyweight champion. Trevor Peek, what he lacks in skills, he brings with will. And, Ashmus burst onto the scene, won via knockout, and he's not necessarily a knockout artist by trade, but he's a fighter who will stick to his P's and Q's and will fight to his strengths. Now, he's going to have to fight a disciplined game plan and capitalize on the mistakes of Trevor Peek. That is something that he will have to do if he wants to walk away victorious here. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. Am I going to go out of my way to fade Trevor Peek in this spot? Not necessarily. Grateful to. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I know we put this together on short notice, this Fight Morning Quick Card Breakdown show, and I want to thank everybody for your support here. So the pick is going to be Trevor Peek here. I think that when you look at intangibles and things that you want in a fighter that you're willing to back, is number one, that they will never give up on themselves, that they will go until there's nothing left. The fight IQ is a question, but he's going to go for it. And Ashmus, it's on him to take advantage of this. And I don't necessarily believe that he's going to be able to do that for a full 15 minutes. I think that Trevor Peek's going to get this done inside the distance. Now, short notice replacement Cody Durden comes in and takes on Matt Schnell. What do we see here? Flyweight. This was originally flyweights, but since Durden comes in on short notice, he's taking this fight up at 135 pounds. He's coming off of a brutal loss where he was winning the fight last time out, and he got cracked. Schnell gets cracked early and often in matchups. Matt Schnell, I was at his fight against Sumu Derji, and I've seen him compete many times on my television screen as well. This is a fighter who has many skills, but his chin is a real issue. And what I like about Cody Durden in this spot is he knows what he has to do. He's going to try to get into Matt Schnell's face, force him to close distance, and not give him space to stay evasive and get his game going, because he knows that Matt Schnell's a slick striker, has a great ground game, is fleet of foot, and that's what makes this fight interesting. But I believe it will be only a matter of time until Cody Durden is able to land the kill shot on Matt Schnell. It happens in so many different fights. The Nicolau fight comes to mind, and this is a similar matchup in that I believe Cody Durden has the power to put Schnell out. And man, I really have enjoyed Matt Schnell and what he brings to the table. Great guy, but his chin, I believe, is just going to let him down one more time, unfortunately. So give me Cody Durden to win, and I believe that. The other thing is, fight doesn't go the distance. I saw at one book it was sitting at -170. I believe that this fight has the potential. I know it's flyweights, but I believe this fight has the potential to end inside the distance. And I'll be picking Cody Durden in this matchup. Now, we have Steve Garcia taking on Kyle Nelson. Kyle Nelson has reinvented himself a number of times. Fights smart nowadays. How is he going to fight smart against Steve Garcia? That's a tall task, because Steve Garcia is hell on wheels. We'll call him hell on wheels. He will go for it. He's willing to get knocked out, trying to go for the kill. And I suspect one fighter will walk away conscious, and the other will be unconscious on the canvas. I think when push comes to shove, Steve Garcia will be able to find the target and knock out Kyle Nelson. But Kyle Nelson, we know, if he sits down on his punches, he's capable of also delivering the knockout blow as well. I was at his fight against Bill Algeo. He found the target on Bill, didn't let Bill off the hook, was on the verge of gassing himself out there, and I had money on Algeo's. I was upset about the stoppage there. I thought that they jumped in a little too soon. That happened multiple times that night in Atlantic City. But Kyle Nelson, props to him. He was finding the target. And in this matchup, he's going to be forced to trade with Steve Garcia. And I think when it comes down to it, Steve Garcia is going to walk away victorious. Now, co-main event of the evening. Michael says, yeah, no, Ashmus broke his arm last fight in round 1 and went all rounds. Yes, well, he's tough as nails. Both of them are tough as nails. I think that it's a different animal when you're fighting against Trevor Peek, though. Trevor Peek is going to just force chaos. Now, Natalia Silva taking on Jessica Andrade. You have a marksman, a sniper in Natalia Silva, who also has great footwork. She can throw her legs up like arms, can land kicks, can move, can make you miss. And Andrade, it will be like the Matador and the Bull in there tonight. I love Jessica Andrade and her fighting style. I was at the fight against Yan Xiaonan. I had money on Yan Xiaonan in that matchup, and we saw what happened. And this is a similar matchup, but the one thing I need to point out is this is happening inside of the smaller octagon. So this is going to lead to more exchanges. I believe that Natalia Silva has the wherewithal and the urgency to find the target and get out of range to avoid the strikes of Jessica Andrade. But if Jessica Andrade is able to get inside and land a few shots, we've seen it many, many times where she's able to put the lights out of opponents. But this fight takes place at 125 pounds, so that makes me hesitant to pick Andrade. I'll be picking Natalia Silva. I think that she has the tools here and the trajectory. You look at the miles on Jessica Andrade. That's a real concern for me. I'll be picking Natalia Silva to win this fight. And I think that she could put Andrade out and make her look silly here. So give me Natalia Silva in that matchup. And then let's get to the main event of the evening, where we have Sean Brady taking on Gilbert Burns. I mentioned in the opening that Gilbert Burns has fought the who's who at 170 pounds. Chimaev, Usman, etc. He was looking good against JDM, and now he's taking on Sean Brady, who is, you could say, he was exposed against Michael Chiesa, and also looked like he was a fish out of water on the feet against Bilal Muhammad. That is a concern, but sometimes when fighters experience these moments, they serve as a wake-up call, and I believe that has happened here. You saw against Kelvin Gastelum, Brady was able to fight to his strengths and suffocate Kelvin Gastelum. Now, can he do that against a credentialed grappler like Gilbert Burns, who has a great gas tank? I believe that Gilbert Burns, in his late 30s, that the writing may be on the wall here against a fighter who's going to stick to his strengths in Sean Brady. Yes, Brady, his chin is potentially suspect. Yes, he lacks the willingness to exchange in volume. And also, the gas tank could potentially be an issue. But I believe that his suffocating grappling is going to be a difference maker here. And also, that he's learned from his mistakes. So Sean Brady's going to be the pick. I understand why folks are picking Gilbert Burns, and I see what everybody else sees, but I think that Sean Brady is not only on the rise here, that he is the younger fighter with a solid camp behind him as well, but you look at the miles also on Gilbert Burns. That's a real cause for concern for me. I'll be picking Sean Brady to win. And that's it, folks. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I want to welcome everyone back for the Fight Morning Quick Card Breakdown show. If you wouldn't mind just subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed the content. And I look forward to being back soon with you. So have a great fight day and go get what's yours, my brothers. Thanks again, everybody.